Here we just relay some facts,
whether they're new or antique.
So just sit back and relax.
It's time for What's Up This Week.
Hi everybody, and welcome to What's Up This Week, your weekly dose of facts and trivia from University Branch Library. Today's first segment deals with antitrust law, specifically the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890. Toward the end of that century, the American economy was developing, basically going full steam ahead. This also involved major business leaders like Rockefeller buying up or stamping out many other competitors. Any surviving competitors were pulled into trusts, which limited production and raised prices. Such activity alarmed quite a number of people, including United States Senator John Sherman, who was from Lancaster, Ohio, and brother of the notable Civil War General William T. Sherman. Though John Sherman, a former engineer, believed government should support competition and shield the consumer from unfair and improper practices. Following collaborative effort, Sherman authored much of the Sherman Antitrust Act. It was passed by the U.S. Congress on July 2, 1890, and signed into law by President Benjamin Harrison. Presented as a comprehensive charter of economic liberty, the Act aimed to preserve free and unfettered competition as the rule of trade. The Act included multiple sections, but its first two very important sections state this. Section 1, abridged, says, quote, "Every contract, combination in the form of trust or otherwise, or conspiracy in restraint of trade or commerce among the several states or with foreign nations is hereby declared to be illegal. Every person who shall make any such contract or engage in any such combination or conspiracy shall be deemed guilty." Ellipsis, end quote. Section 2, abridged, says, quote, "Every person who shall monopolize or attempt to monopolize or combine or conspire with any other person or persons to monopolize any part of the trade or commerce among the several states or with foreign nations shall be deemed guilty." Ellipsis, end quote. Of course, it's a good thing we haven't had any trouble with companies monopolizing markets since then, right? No, actually, since the legislation's launch, there have been various lawsuits brought against companies using the Act as the basis. Furthermore, in 1914, the Clayton Antitrust Act and the Federal Trade Commission Act were both put into effect. As for John Sherman himself, he had already shaped an eventful political career and subsequently became the United States Secretary of State beginning in 1897. But the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890 was likely the most crucial and influential piece of lawmaking the politician ever contributed to. Okay, Ellie, what is your subject for this week?
Thanks, James. This week we're celebrating the birth of Richard Rodgers, a prolific American composer, best known as half of the famous songwriting duo Rodgers and Hammerstein. He wrote over 900 songs, mostly for Broadway musicals. Rodgers was born on June 28, 1902 in New York City. At the age of 6, he began playing the piano. He started composing songs as a young teenager and eventually made his way to the Institute of Musical Art, which is now the Juilliard School. In 1919, Rodgers met and began working with his first professional partner, Lorenz Hart. This duo worked together until Hart's death in 1943. Some of their most popular songs include Blue Moon, My Funny Valentine, The Lady is a Tramp, and Falling in Love with Love. Rodgers began working with Oscar Hammerstein after Hart passed away, though they had known each other since their university days. Their first musical, Oklahoma, was a groundbreaking hit and ushered in the golden age of musical theater. They had many successes including Carousel, South Pacific, The King and I, The Sound of Music, and Flower Drum Song. Rodgers and Hammerstein changed American musical theater. Together, their musicals won 37 Tony Awards, 15 Academy Awards, 2 Pulitzer Prizes, 2 Grammys, and 2 Emmys. Their partnership is often called the greatest and most successful of the 20th century. They used song and dance to advance the plots of their shows rather than act as diversions from the storyline, which was a unique way of musical theater storytelling at the time. Rodgers passed away in 1979 at the age of 77, but his legacy lives on in the music he created. He was the first person to ever achieve the Grand Slam of show business, the EGOT, winning an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony Award. And he also has a Pulitzer Prize. The only other person to win all 5 of these awards is Marvin Hamlisch. To learn more about Richard Rodgers' life or to watch the film adaptations of his musicals, check out any of these library materials. All right, Megan, what's the weird thing for this week?
Hi there. This week's weird thing is that July 1st is International Reggae Day, a day to celebrate and listen to reggae music. Reggae is a genre of music that comes from Jamaica. It has roots in ska and rocksteady music, which also originated in Jamaica, but it has a much slower tempo. It is also influenced by traditional Jamaican folk music and American jazz and R&B. However you want to define it, reggae music is pretty recognizable with its drum and bass downbeats and offbeat rhythm sections. You know it when you hear it. Without a doubt, the most well-known reggae artist is Bob Marley and the Wailers. They actually produced ska, rocksteady, and reggae music, evolving with the popular music in Jamaica. Bob Marley was instrumental in spreading reggae music around the world, and he is regarded as a symbol of Jamaican music and culture. Music must run in the family because several of his children have established successful music careers of their own. Reggae music has continued to evolve since its emergence in the late 1960s. As its popularity spread across the world, other countries adopted it and created their own styles. Reggae en Español blends in elements from samba and other Latin American music genres. In the United States, much of the reggae scene comes out of Southern California, but you can find reggae bands all over America with a variety of other musical fusions. Africa, Asia, and even Australia and New Zealand all have their own take on reggae music. Europe was majorly influenced by reggae and ska music, especially the punk and new wave scene in the UK. To celebrate International Reggae Day, you should obviously listen to some reggae music. Fort Bend County Libraries has music CDs available to check out, as well as reggae albums you can listen to via our Hoopla app. If you want to learn a little more about the history of the genre or about Bob Marley's life, we have books that you can check out too. Happy International Reggae Day! Be sure to tune in again next week for more facts and trivia from University Branch Library.